What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Think Dimension, the only gaming podcast for the modern Giga-Brain gamer. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with us, as always, is our online co-host, KZ Excellent from kzexcellent.com. How you doing, buddy? Guess he's not here. And Mr. Feel from Mr. Feel's Wild Ride.
I think he's dead.
Oh, no. Did he eat at Burger King as well as a lark, or did something else come for him?
I think the Arby's that lives in the box behind found the extension cord. He run through their window and just pulled that out, so he couldn't be there. He couldn't be here this week.
That's terrible. Also, we have with us Bob.
Hey guys, I don't know. Kingdom Hearts came out. It was probably just too much Kino to just kill the KZ right up
Keto
like that.
overload. I mean, he was tweeting symptoms like his head hurting and dizziness from how Kino it was. It's okay. We're gonna carry on without him.
His screen just got really bright and it blew out and killed him. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts 3, or rather, not speaking of it.
What? Everyone had plenty of time to beat it, right?
No.
Actually, I haven't beaten it. I was on the final doorstep, one might say. Like, I was heading into the ending, and I just went, I would like a bigger stick. So I turned around to go get it.
I have one Disney World left, and then everything after that. So we will do a Kingdom Hearts 3 spoiler cast at some point, but everybody has to beat it first. And also, KZ would shoot somebody if he wasn't front and center for that.
He really
so
would gun us down.
So we certainly aren't going to talk about it now.
Yeah, but we can do the vaguest, most unbelievably bullshit, not informing the audience at all level of coverage. Hey, Bob, are you or have you enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah, I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3.
Mr. Feel, are you or have you enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3?
Perhaps.
I may have also enjoyed Kingdom Hearts 3. That might be a game that some people listening to this might want to check out. Well, with that out of the way, hey, Bob.
What's up?
Have you played anything else in the last week?
I actually played too much of the Anthem demo.
Oh man, you're responsible for every single EA game going offline on Saturday.
God bless you, you fucking soldier.
Yeah, Dan had this podcast last week on Friday, and I had that Friday off. So I'm sitting over here while Dan's killing himself editing this thing, killing myself playing Anthem.
You had to be there for him in spirit.
By removing your
You're like, well,
spirit.
Dan is doing something unpleasant but necessary. So I'll do something unpleasant but completely not necessary.
Right?
I was like, Bob, the sickest fucking thing you could do to me as a person is play Resident Evil 2's remake behind me while I spend 7 hours editing this thing.
Yeah, no, that'd be terrible.
It literally would be one of the worst things you could ever do to me. I love Resident Evil 2 way too much. So then he's like, okay, Dan, I'll play Anthem.
Which it took few hours for the servers to actually even let me in, but I got in there, guys.
I've heard some stuff about Anthem. Bob, tell me more about Anthem.
How is it, Bob? Give me your breakdown.
Well, you go to a point, play in the 4-man team, you go to a point in each area, and then it spawns enemies, and you shoot the enemies. And then you go to another point, and it spawns enemies, and you shoot those enemies. What I'm trying to say, it's like the worst Destiny level design.
Wow.
Just immediately, yeah. That's like what they advertised it with that demo.
Oh.
It also feels like it might be kind of not balanced for playing alone.
What?
Yeah, I tried doing some private missions because going to the public missions was a little weird during the demo because you'd get set up as a group of guys, but then when you got to a loading screen, you'd have to like reboot the game because it was all broken. So when you reboot it, your team would typically get way ahead of you. Like I did that several times, then the mission literally was over by the time I got to it again.
What?
So I tried to do it in single player. That it doesn't seem to like readjust enemy numbers or damage values or anything. So
maybe that's for the final. No, of course it fucking isn't.
Right, I'm like, maybe this is like a strike and not a story mission, but it seems like a story mission. I don't know. I don't know if they'll have that sort of separation like Destiny has. It seems like something obvious to copy, but you never know.
Have you seen the chart?
Yes, I've seen the chart.
Digital Devolver made sure you saw the chart.
Yes.
Consumer.
I like how everybody's just like, what the fuck, EA?
Right?
What are you doing?
Why? If you have to release this chart, you should see the problem.
Why are you making it confusing for the people to give you money?
Because they have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, it's super weird. Like, you can get stun locked into death easily.
What?
Yeah, you know how in most shooters you take hits and you can still keep moving or something like that.
Yeah.
You literally are just stuck in place, completely stopped. So you go from full health to dead. Is you don't have teammates to like stop them from shooting you. You just die.
How the fuck do you accidentally do that?
I don't know.
It's almost like this game was something nobody involved in making it had any experience making it, and they don't know why EA forced them to make it.
Almost like that. Yeah.
It's almost like they were making games on an engine designed for shooters, and since a shooter that was an RPG of sorts got really popular this gen, which is also super debatable, they also needed to make a shooter RPG despite
they made Mass Effect. They should be ready for this, right?
You know what I would do if my games were widely renowned for having good writing and characters but being mediocre to bad to play? Make a game with almost no story that you're intended to play constantly.
That just makes sense.
That's really playing to your weaknesses there.
One thing I did actually find neat was the flying around. Like, flying around your character does not feel bad, which I expected it to. So, good on them for that. They got that one thing feeling okay.
I haven't played Warframe, but I imagine they just stole that from Warframe. They tried to steal Warframe community terms, and people got really mad at them, and they stopped.
What? That's great.
Yeah, in Warframe, there's a thing called fashion framing, which is just because your suits are called Warframes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So fashion framing is just making cool looking suits.
Yeah.
So EA tried to co-opt that for Anthem, and everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Doesn't even make sense. They're called javelins.
Here's a thing I learned. Here's a thing I thought of Anthem watching somebody play it for like 40 minutes. Maybe I really hope that someday Western game developers overcome the blood curse that makes them make mechs and mech suits look really shitty because they're scared of looking anime.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. Every mech should look like Iron Man suit.
The Anthem suits aren't even that good. They all have fucking chicken legs.
Well, I actually didn't get to see a whole lot of Anthem. Let me tell you how much I saw it. At one point in the middle of editing the podcast, I left the house to go pass out for a bit as a nap. And it was like 10 seconds. I saw the screen running for 10 seconds and just went, wow, it's actually running, because my Twitter's full of people saying it's not working at all.
I also found it really weird that like one of the random missions I played, that like the first one it gives you has just a random puzzle shown in. Like the rest of it is shooting guys, and then it's like, oh, match these colors.
Oh yeah, you were saying it's like
which led to just our whole fire team.
That's what I'd love in my squad-based multiplayer shooter. Is having to solve a puzzle with my friends.
With 3 guys you can't talk to. Yeah.
Surely the final game will have voice chat.
I assume there's voice chat in that demo. I don't know. They weren't talking. I didn't have my hookup.
Everybody was like, no speaking. No one must know our identities that we touched Anthem.
Yeah, I ended up just having to go to a YouTube video after standing around for 10 minutes with none of us really knowing what was going on, and finding out, they put these tiny little lights that are the color you need to match up just in some random area. Like, okay, this is random and bad and doesn't even have an introduction.
That sounds like this might be the stupidest possible format of game to put puzzles in, because you're supposed to do every mission like 1,000 times.
Right.
So either it's the same puzzle every time, in which case you're an idiot, or the solution randomizes, in which case you're an idiot.
Yeah, it's like I can't, like, knowing what I was supposed to do there, that wasn't going to be fun gameplay. It was literally just like scumming the area looking for anything that could be a color to match. I'm like, why?
Now everyone stop and do this slide puzzle.
Now, if they had a slide puzzle, that'd be hilarious. That would be the worst freaking multiplayer game ever.
You say that, and yet all I can think of is my low point for puzzles and video games is still to this day Lords of Shadow 1 being like, you understand horoscope signs, right? That's good. This entire puzzle needs that. That it's just two dials you rotate based on a clue it gives you, and you should have memorized in your brain what horoscope that makes you. Or you should go to a computer and Google it.
Yeah, that's pretty... I thought you meant the most pathetic puzzle, which is still in Deadly Premonition.
What? I still haven't gotten around to playing Deadly Premonition. I own it.
It's a fine game if you like schlock.
I do.
Actually, I don't know if schlock is right. I don't know what the fuck Deadly Premonition is, but you should play it.
I would call it faux American Japanese made schlock, which is my favorite kind.
It's like that, but also Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the puzzle is you walk. It's very early. It's like almost at the start of the game. You go to a hospital to talk to the coroner, and the coroner is down in the morgue, but the door's locked. And he left you a puzzle on his computer to open the door to the morgue, and it's a chess puzzle. But because chess isn't very popular in Japan, the solution is just, do you know what chess pieces are? And in case you don't, they're on a big posters around the room.
Oh my god!
That's beautiful.
That's unreal. What the fuck? Okay, that's pretty good.
Now, if Anthem had that...
So much of Deadly Premonition is incredible.
I feel like Anthem could also benefit from the Sinner sandwich cutscene, as they described the sandwich that...
That's not even, like, in the top 10 cutscenes in that game.
Yeah, I was hoping as much. I still haven't played it, but good lord, that cutscene's so good.
You get stuff like, whenever the main character smiles, it looks like nobody told the modelers that he needed to be able to smile.
Yeah.
So his facial geometry like implodes into itself to form a horrifying grin.
Yeah, the Sinner Sandwich cutscene ends with the lady working at the cafe and your friend both transmogrifying their faces into an expression that I think is supposed to be joy/surprise, but it's just horrifying because it also does the transition in slow motion. So it's like 99% of the frames are just between the two like key points in the animation. It's really good.
Also, there's a lot of driving with cars that feel like shopping carts with busted wheels.
Beautiful.
Like the absolute worst feeling cars in any game ever, but somehow it's incredible.
That reminds me, and I'm not going to explain why because that would involve talking about it. A podcast I was listening to just started to bring up Kingdom Hearts 3, and I skipped 40 minutes of that podcast just to
mashing,
just
mashing the skip ahead button.
Yeah, no, I seriously, I didn't even do that. I just grabbed the fucking marker and dragged it 35 minutes later in the podcast just to be safe.
You know, it's incredible to me that all of these people are being less generous and less genuine than James Rolfe, the guy whose persona is being angry.
Well, it's called acting like you're a jaded asshole versus being a jaded asshole.
What do you mean, Dan? People who put videos with titles like Kingdom Hearts is stupid nonsense for idiots the day before the game comes out aren't cynical, jaded assholes.
And since he's not here, I'll be KZ, our surrogate KZ for just a moment. Floaty.
It's, you know what? Even the floaty people are better because at least they played the fucking games.
Yeah, I know they're better.
They played the games nobody else, none of the first group of people played because those are the floaty ones.
A person, a friend of mine was at my store today, and he was like, I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts and enjoy it, and I played like 1 and 2, and by this point in 2 where, you know, Sora isn't getting out of the pod or whatever, I'm just like, what the fuck is with this story? And then he later follows that up with, Kingdom Hearts is the worst video game writing ever. And I go, good sir, might I introduce you to Inti Creates? Because, oh boy.
If somebody says Kingdom Hearts is the worst writing ever, I have to assume that their idea of good writing is something they can read the Wikipedia page of and think they watched it. Although I almost lost my shit at the cutscene mid-game in Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm not going to say anything about the contents of the cutscene, but the cutscene basically goes, time to talk about the mobile game.
Yep. That was a fucking moment.
And then I fell to my knees and screamed in victory because I knew it.
Oh, man. I can't wait to record that podcast. Bob, is there anything else you played?
That's what really stood out. Other than Kingdom Hearts, and we did Resident Evil those streams, but
Resident Evil was really good.
Yeah,
Resident Evil is very good. I also played it. I got through Leon A, and if I hadn't decided to go to a Kingdom Hearts 3 midnight release and get it, then I probably would have finished Claire B. But I couldn't wait.
But if you didn't go to that, you wouldn't have met Kairi.
There were two Kairis.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
that
I tweeted about this. So here's for people who don't follow me on Twitter. I went to the Kingdom Hearts midnight release, although it wasn't actually at midnight. It was at 9 p.m.
It was 9
which
p.m.
I was grateful for because I'm an old man and will not be leaving the house for things at midnight anymore. But there was a little girl. She's about 5 or 6. She was in her mom's arms, and she had a little beanie, and her parents were introducing her as Kairi because that was her name. And then there was another Kairi later who was tired and in her Cinderella pajamas. And there was also a man in a Organization 13 cloak talking about Jalter from Fate Grand Order loudly.
Oh my god.
I'm sure he was a great guy.
And then he started talking about one of the worst animes this season positively and gushing about it.
Oh, cool.
And then they had an impromptu costume contest, and one of the small children won, and he seemed genuinely upset.
Yeah, why would the child win? He needs to win.
The child was Rapunzel and had a little frying pan. It was adorable.
Okay, that is pretty freaking adorable. I did not go to any midnight launch. I, in fact, got illicit goods straight from New Zealand. Ooh. Thanks to our viewer, Stellar Flare, who hooked me up with a New Zealand copy of Kingdom Hearts 3. And thus how I am at the ending, basically. Because if I did not get that early, I would be nowhere near that far in it. Because I've been working my slave wage job. Wage slave job.
Yeah, whereas I just sat down and went as fast as I could. I bet that Dan's probably put more hours into me, but hasn't finished yet. Whereas I was just like, no, I need to end this because
I'm not shotgunning it either. Like I did every single. Well, I can't talk about it, so we can't talk about it. I've been doing all the side content, but Resident Evil 2 is very good. That's all I've had time to play is Resident Evil 2, then immediately into Kingdom Hearts 3.
Real quick, once again, being the KZ surrogate, I have to say. If he was here, he would be pointing out that though we may not be as far as Bob, we can reminisce over all the enemies we didn't run directly past like Bob did.
Look, I'll go back for them later.
You kill stuff so fast in this game, even on proud mode, that I have not felt the need to run past anything.
Yeah. Yep, don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, can't talk about
it. Oh man,
let's move on to news so we can't talk about it anymore once we're in a different segment.
Okay, well, one real quick, all we beat was Leon A. I plan on going through the 3 other campaigns at some point, but I really need to finish Kingdom Hearts. After I record this podcast tonight, I'm going to finish getting out the final weapon and stuff and all the collectibles and finish the game for real. And then sometime, I don't know, maybe later this weekend, I'll get to play some more Resident Evil 2. But yeah, Bob, is there? You said there's nothing else you played?
No, those are the main ones.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
been it for me. I've been super busy just dealing with the podcast stuff and Resident Evil 2. But if you guys haven't seen it, go back and watch that breakdown video because holy shit, not too many video games make you spontaneously become a skeleton and drink a Coke. But okay, yeah, let's go ahead and move on to news. It is staggering how much faster this podcast goes if we can't talk about the one game we want to all talk about.
Yeah, I was like, I have more I could say about Anthem, but really, that's just excessive at this point.
If you want, you can say more about Anthem. I'm interested in hearing more about Anthem.
For some reason, whenever Bob talks about Anthem, I just hear the Grim Reaper's cackle.
That's also how EA's fiscal quarterly earnings go.
Man, maybe we should stop these calls. This is creepy.
Who keeps putting the Grim Reaper on the line? That's really not cool.
I really have a conspiracy theory that they announced Dragon Age 4 at the Game Awards as like, you have to buy Anthem or this is dead.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay, good. It wasn't just me who thought that. Bob, did you get that impression? Because
kinda, yeah.
When I heard Dragon Age 4 was announced, I'm like, oh boy.
Because they had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. They showed a piece of concept art and didn't even have a voiceover, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like a twofold attack. One fold is on the fans to be like, hey, we need to keep the studio alive so you get your precious Dragon Age 4. And the other fold is on investors where they get to scream at them, see, it's justified. People want this. They care. Look at all this hype.
There wasn't any hype.
I'm not saying there was. I'm saying that was the plan.
Man.
I feel like it's just becoming impossible to become hyped for anything EA is involved with because they're just going to fuck it up.
It's amazing because, like, if you look at EA and Capcom, they almost had an inverse relationship this gen.
It's the thing that I think every company does, which is like they get a taste of a lot of money from one thing, or they don't. In Capcom's case, they didn't even actually get the taste. They just saw other people getting it, and like they get brain disease.
Yeah.
And they go insane. Like EA, Madden, the way the freaks of nature who play Madden and dump money into those microtransactions have ruined EA. Because they think they can make everybody who buys their games one of those Madden lunatics. And it's just killing everything they put out.
And they can't do that. And by not creating new IPs or investing in stuff or trying to keep old IPs alive, they're just ensuring that they're going to die. It's really sad watching them do this.
I'm willing to bet that within the next decade, I don't feel comfortable saying shorter than that, EA will just make sports games and mobile games and not a single fucking other thing.
I keep sitting here wondering when is going to be the day. When are they actually just going to full sail go under? Like, that has to be possible. Where is the line and what does it take?
Depends on what they do. If they cut back, like I just said, never. Because sports games will make money forever and they can just continue making them until the end of time.
Yeah, and unfortunately, shareholders aren't the type of people who would scream at you to make a new Sim Ant or any number of other properties they would just have languishing.
Like, I'm surprised they haven't dug Ultima back up and be like, here's an Ultima reboot that's our answer to Skyrim.
Not even there that brave.
Oh my, no, they just haven't thought of it, you guys.
This was a joke I made about. I used to make all the time, but I haven't anymore because talking about BioWare just makes me sad. But after BioWare closes, 2 years, 3 at the most, EA will start selling like gamer keyboards and mice branded with BioWare. That'll just become their weird gamer paraphernalia brand.
See, I thought you were gonna say it's gonna have the N7 insignia on it or whatever.
It probably will, but it'll just be BioWare is now our brand of mice and sweaters and keyboards. The way we made Origin our online service.
Yeah, God, that was upsetting.
The
funny thing is, like, I didn't know what Origin was when that first came out. It was only later that I realized, oh, it's some corpse they dredged up.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. What was it?
It made Ultima and Wing Commander. That was Richard Garriott's
that's what
company.
it was. They were just a normal publisher.
Oh.
Yeah.
They got bought by EA, and then EA crushed them into dust and repurposed their name for their online service, which is why I say BioWare will have a similar thing happen to them.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like BioWare is like what they do to BioWare is going to be really apparent when that company just completely stops.
Yeah, I think
there's no way to get out of that and still have a fan base.
I think the EA is ruining everything narrative is too strong for it to get ignored. Because, a lot of times, almost all the time, the not to say ignorant masses, but the average gamer doesn't know why a game franchise burned out, disappeared, stopped getting made, became this other thing. Like, they just go, oh man, I really missed that game. With what EA's doing with every game they own, it's going to be fucking apparent.
What happened to Battlefield? Battlefield 5 came out. Did it?
What?
Nobody knows because we spread its release out across a month, so nobody was ever talking about it.
Are you sure that game's real? I thought I dreamt it up. So, Bob, do you want to say any couple small things about Anthem before we move to actual news instead of talking about the corpse of EA?
Sure. I guess I could talk about the town of Anthem.
The town of what's it called?
I don't even know, man.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Did you play around in the shared area that fans had to tell them that they needed to add?
I couldn't find it.
It probably wasn't in the demo.
Probably not. I hope not. Because oh man,
it's not ready for launch, I'm sure. But real quick, something I can say about Anthem.
What's that?
I looked over and I was furious how dissimilar that looked to the E3 trailer.
Oh,
like
it
the
is
CGI.
There's not a single asset in that town that could possibly be from that trailer.
Right. I was one of the people at that E3 sitting there telling everyone who was watching, because for those listening to this, and I get, we have a lot of new viewers to the channel. We've done an E3 party where people come over and watch the conferences and eat food and bullshit and yell at the TV like it's Rocky Horror Picture Show for how many years? Like 12?
Something like that.
Some ridiculous number of years. And during that E3, people were like, wow, that looks great. And I'm like, guys, that is CG. That is nowhere near real. That does not look like that. It is too perfectly frame paced and the shading is way too good. And the animations weren't even recyclable. Like, the animations were clearly just scripted from one end to the other. Like, a random NPC that walks past the guy in that fucking trailer is just doing a completely unique animation for every limb the whole way through. And it's like, no, absolutely not. This is fake as shit. But that game looks terrible in town. Like, some people are getting motion sickness.
There's no way that those did those demos have a this is real disclaimer, or did I dream that? I can't imagine EA would be that stupid.
I think they put that once they go into the outside world. I think they were very careful about where they put that text.
Yeah, he's right. That once you go outside and you're jetpacking around, they had that, which that game still doesn't look that good. But
maybe on
PC.
Yeah, we ran this on the Deep Think supercomputer at NASA. And this is how it looks, so we're going to use this for our promotional materials.
You think that's going to fly? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could compile this for your own Deep Think computer.
But yeah,
if you go steal someone's Bitcoin mining rig and play Anthem on it, it'll look like this.
No, it won't, because it's been smashed to pieces by a man whose life was ruined.
That's true.
By himself.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Oh man.
But yeah, so they're trying to make it look like that trailer. They have an insane amount of motion blur. It is like nauseating amounts of motion blur.
Yeah. And
is it worse than Type 0?
It is very much worse than Type 0.
Sorry, my brain is blanking.
Are you no?
We're talking Final Fantasy
must
Type
be
0?
Lying.
No, you just
Final Fantasy Type 0.
Oh yeah, it's worse than that.
My brain cannot conceive of motion blur worse than that.
Okay, so check this out. Here's some tech that's working its way into every engine that pisses me off. You know how TVs do that soap opera effect thing where it tries to up the frame rate on films?
Yes, because Tom Cruise did that video telling you how to turn it off.
That is the
God bless him.
I had no idea that was a thing before then.
Wow, he's changing lives. Clearly, I need to do more The Rant Is Go and GigaBoots Tech Labs. Anyway, so game engines are starting to integrate stuff like that, where it's taking the past frame it rendered, and then it's projecting shit for part of the resolution. So imagine and this is kind of what checkerboard rendering is. Imagine it just needs to fill half of the pixels on screen with real pixels that it had to process to figure out what goes there. And the other half it's guessing at based on how the last frame looked. So it's a combination of that and some really shitty motion blur and some really bad frame rate. Because it's like 20 frames per second at times, if not even lower. And it's first person in town.
That sounds nightmarish.
It really is. It's hideous.
Yeah, it looks awful. It literally made me feel somewhat sick. I don't even get motion sickness typically, but Jesus.
The motion blur on Type 0 on PS4 is why I had to stop playing that game, because I would spin the camera and I'd become nauseous because it was so intense.
Yeah, if I remember, the weird thing about that motion blur was not only how insanely intense it was, but also that, and I could be wrong, but I just remember the insane intensity of it that made no sense. It's one of those types of motion blur where your character projects themselves out of the front of themselves in the direction they're supposed to be going to. It's one of those weird types of motion blur where it actually doesn't make sense on paper. That thing looked terrible.
I can't even think about it. It's hurting my brain to even try and picture motion blur that terrible.
Hey, Bob, I'm really glad we talked more about what's in Anthem. Nauseating graphics modes.
It also has what's their wheel called for doing options?
dialogue wheel?
Yeah, the dialogue wheel. The dialogue 2 options now. So there are a few of those you get to mess with.
The dialogue toggle.
It's still a wheel, but it's just 2 options.
Yeah, it's just 2 directions. It's like, oh my god.
I thought they were like, now we can put it on the shoulders because that's better for some reason.
Oh man, maybe it was on the shoulders. I can't remember. I think there's still a circle in the middle.
Bob was a little nauseous at the moment. Please be patient, everyone. He wasn't physically well. He was playing Anthem.
The whole thing's in first person. You'd think that would let them do things like more smoothly and hide stuff, but oh man, they have no idea what they're doing.
Of course they don't. Nobody. So there's 2 options here. One is that nobody who made this game knew how to make this game.
Mm-hmm.
Or 2 is they had a bunch of different teams in different places who kind of know how to make this, maybe make pieces, and then the BioWare team had to staple them together, and it became a horrible Frankenstein of nightmarishness.
I'm sure that's what happened. I mean, just how dissimilar like the town is from the outside world. It's like 2 entirely different games. It's crazy.
It really is.
I've not seen that in a game in any time recently.
What I would imagine happened is like BioWare was like, we want to make this as our new IP for this gen. And then EA said, great, now make it Destiny because that was successful and we want one.
Yeah. I love the it was successful part of this. You know, the part that can't be proven.
The part that's almost certainly not true.
Because in order to prove that, Activision would have to ever release sales figures, and they haven't done that once for Destiny. They've never released sales figures for Destiny in the, 5 years they've been releasing it? 4.
They like pretending it's a lot bigger than it is.
The one thing they were able to say that was an obvious win was it was the biggest debut for a new IP this gen, and they said that 1 year into this generation. It was bigger than Shadow of Mordor.
Oh wow! So it's like when a movie is the best movie of all time to release on Tuesday in February when it was raining.
Yeah, it is that exact thing.
Can we stop talking about Anthem now? I'm getting depressed.
That's probably for the best. I was going to talk about how I talked to some guy from the way it didn't expect me to. So it had me slide through a bar to get in front of him and talk to him. And I was like, what?
Are you fucking serious?
Yes.
That's incredible. I can just imagine. It's like, clearly they'll be talking to him from here. And when you don't, it just snaps you to there.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
So
that's
Bob,
like...
You played Shadowgate 64 over the weekend?
Yes.
This game is out in 14 days.
That's the most amazing part.
I was only able to talk to 2 NPCs, and this happened to one of them.
It's going to... What the fuck is up with EA and just releasing all their games a year before they're ready?
I don't know. It's insane. Like, could you imagine if they released a good game, they might be able to sell some DLC for it? Make up the difference of the year development time instead of getting no sales whatsoever?
It's like how Mass Effect Andromeda came out and people, day one, were like, here's where everybody glitched out and starts T-posing.
Yes.
Man, they did this back in Dragon Age 2. When that game launched, dudes would spawn in T-posing from midair.
Yeah, no, that was fucking hilarious.
And it's because I bet it's because Dragon Age 2 did okay, and then they polished it in patches. So now if you play Dragon Age 2, you'd never notice that at the beginning, dudes spawned in for full view of your camera, T-posing before they started fighting you.
Yeah, that actually, it was not this bad in Freedom Planet, but that does remind me of Freedom Planet and how people constantly argue with my review in 2019. I'm like, dude, they have changed so much shit about the boss balance and how mechanics work, and even the plot of Freedom Planet via patches since it came out. So when you argue against my review, you're playing a very different game. Like the final boss, Bob, you know how you like complained about the final boss in a recent podcast?
Yeah.
Somebody was like, fuck you, the final boss of Freedom Planet was good. And I didn't want to waste my time going into the comments with him and being like, when that game first came out, it was a very different boss fight, like balance wise and everything else.
Yeah, he had literal one-hit kills.
He had one-hit kills. He was invincible for really long durations. He would hit stun you.
This is both like a good thing and a bad thing because it creates
this dissonance.
Okay, good, bad games can become better, but also it's now like a pass for developers to release something that isn't polished.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we can polish it in patches and people will forget. History will only have it down as a game that was good.
Yeah.
You'll never be able to go back and play that bad version.
And it is really weird because, like, every time these weird retro consoles try to take off and they're like, we're not going to have patches. That's a feature. You want to be like, yay, but also, like, that's happened a few times over recent years.
I mean, I trust Nintendo, but that's about it.
And even then, maybe not. I actually didn't put this in the news, but I'll cover
Even
it now
then,
since
Pokemon 6th Gen had that game. The 3DS didn't even have the capacity for patches, and Nintendo had to jury rig one into the eShop for that. It was so bad.
Yep.
That was ridiculous.
I mean, I ran into that game ending glitch in Twilight Princess on Wii, and there was no fix.
Wasn't there another game ending glitch on Skyward Sword that you didn't run into?
Yeah,
but...
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't put this in news, but I'll cover it here since we're talking about Nintendo. You guys know how they re-released that like new Super Mario Bros. Wii U, right?
Oh, is this going to be the Nintendo are completely insane and have to be drug kicking and screaming to basic quality of life things?
This is the most insane feature I've seen them put in a game and then bury. Basically what happened was in the original game, for the Wii U, what you would do, you could do a midair twirl that would kill your vertical momentum, so that way you could make an extra tough jump, right?
It would like kill your vertical momentum, but you would float for a second and you could float.
Exactly.
Like you could get more horizontal distance.
Exactly. It would help you just barely clear a jump. And in the Wii U one, and I think the Wii one, they both did it so that way you shake the Wiimote to do that move. So in the Wii U version, or in the Switch version that just came out, you just push jump again. So for people who are inputting jumps slightly before they landed, they would twirl and fly off of a fucking ledge because they went to jump and they would be inputting it ever so slightly, like a frame before they touched the ground. And people kept going, Nintendo, this needs to be separate button from jump because there are various reasons why you would want to let go and then repress jump in midair and all these other things. And seemingly Nintendo didn't give a shit, right? For a while now, they haven't said a single thing. Someone found out if you hold down on the left Joy-Con stick for 3 seconds on the title screen and then enter the save screen, it'll make a special sound, and it does that. It makes it so it's a discrete button to do that move in midair, and hitting jump again doesn't do it.
That sounds like something one person put in his spare time.
Exactly.
Against the wishes of the director.
Exactly. It's just
like,
one guy who's like,
I'm
you really
right.
don't.
No, I'm right, and I know it. So I'm going to put this in, and people will find it and think I'm God.
And they'll be like, Nintendo figured it out. They're so smart. And when my superior sees them say that, they'll be like, God damn it, Todd was right. But I just thought that was the most fucking insane thing, that they would build in a feature before people were asking for it. They didn't offer it as a normal toggleable option in the option screen. And it's just holding a direction on the title screen. And the way you know it's activated is because, what was it, Toad or someone else makes a sound. Nabbit makes a sound
laughs,
on the...
I think.
Yeah. This is the most insane thing from a Nintendo game. And they are known for doing crazy shit. That makes no sense. But anyway, we should get on to real news.
Yeah, we babbled way too long about Anthem.
I think most of that was musing over the future corpse of EA, but... I'll go ahead and start with something I care about immensely. So, Bloodstained announced a feature for crafting shards. For those who don't know, Bloodstained's that Castlevania game being made by Koji Igarashi with Play Arts, WayForward, and some companies you haven't heard of, specifically Japanese companies that are really good at engineering and optimizing for Unreal Engine 4. Anyway, he announced a feature for his Igavania that allows you to craft shards out of other shards. Now, this is a cool system, and in fact, for weapons, they had something like that in Dawn of Sorrow, where you'd use a soul to craft a sword. The problem became in Dawn of Sorrow that you would have to use the soul in order to craft that sword. So if you're going for 100% soul run, you can't get the higher level great swords until you get literally every soul in the game. So that way you can get the Chaos Ring and then properly finish that upgrade tree. In Bloodstained, they realized that problem from Dawn of Sorrow, and they're like, You also keep the original shard. You just need your crafting materials, and then you get the new shard as well as keeping your original. As someone who plays these games into the ground, that is very important for me.
I've heard Dan complain about this for years with Song of Sorrow. So it's amazing to see a news update that's literally just, we fixed this one thing.
Wow, and Dawn of Sorrow is the most questionable Igavania to begin with.
I agree with that, but no one else does. In fact, most people think it's the best one across the Game Boy Advance and DS because they didn't play Aria of Sorrow because Aria of Sorrow has poor sales because it wasn't advertised enough and it was a late Game Boy Advance game.
Dawn of Sorrow
it wasn't
was
that late.
Far the worst of those 5.
6. Well, because Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia. But I can totally understand not counting Circle.
I don't know about saying it's worse than Circle of the Moon or Harmony, but
I think there's something to be said for taking Aria of Sorrow and changing all the designs to being anime schlock for appeal's sake, and then turning the writing into an embarrassing level. Like, Hammer sits around that entire game flirting with Yoko. It's the most embarrassing shit.
I can't handle the 2 fucking worthless jobbers in Dawn of Sorrow. I get upset just looking at them.
Dmitry Blinov and the other guy?
It's Dario.
The 2 guy.
Oh, Dario. Yeah, that's right.
God, I hate them so much. They have the worst designs I've ever seen.
It's true.
They look like characters that are beaten in episode 4 of a Yu-Gi-Oh show.
Yeah, that's
they do
actually
have that Yu-Gi-Oh show energy.
They do. I was going to say they end up somewhere around a shallow parody of Pokemon would have them as enemy trainers.
Yeah, that's about right.
So yeah, that's that same energy. But yeah, I just wanted to bring up this feature for everyone like me out there who plays the shit out of Igavanias, and that always bugged because my weapon of preference is the Great Sword. So having that problem on every playthrough where I wanted to get 100% soul completion drove me insane.
So now I'm going to talk about something I'm a big passionate about.
Okay.
Big passionate. Durante is opening his own studio to do PC ports of games, which I am really happy about.
This has me super... Yeah, no, this is great. I didn't actually catch this news until I read your news roundup.
He did the excellent Trails of Cold Steel PC ports, which are beyond incredible in the stuff he added to them. He added a feature that if you turn it on, as soon as you boot it, it loads your save. It skips all pregame stuff. It skips the title screen. It boots your latest save immediately.
That's incredible.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
The dude's a fucking Chad. Like, every fucking bad PC game he touched was cured. Keep in mind, Bob, I'm not sure if you remember.
Ys 8.
Some things are unsalvageable.
Well, it's fine because Nisa just was like, Durante said, here's how you fix it. And Nisa said, that costs too much money. Bye.
Wow. But Bob, in case you or anyone listening didn't know, the original Dark Souls patch fix was by Durante.
Right.
Yeah. He's been doing this for quite a while.
His drum has always been good PC ports make you money forever. It's pathetic that you can't get a good PC port. Here's the stuff a PC port has to need to be good.
Yeah.
And he's written about it like, hey, big studio, you're too big to be putting out shit like this. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the thing, like, we need people like that, and we need people signal boosting people like that, so that way the quality of products for people improve. Durante, his checklist actually is really on point. You know, he sits there and he talks about like supporting different aspect ratios for images, for displays, supporting 60 frames per second or unlocked frame rate. Just a bunch of things like that. Where it makes perfect sense. And I do agree with his philosophy. Like, I always refer to PC as an evergreen platform because you can release a PS3 port of a game in 2012 and by 2014 it's completely irrelevant. But if you release a PC port of a game in 2012 by 2014, it's still relevant.
If you released a PS2 game on PC now with a good PC port, it'd sell. It'd cover the cost of that port easy.
Final Fantasy X did all right, and that even still has problems on PC.
I can go buy Dark Sector right now if I want to.
Bob, you've just been waiting the entire run of the Big Think dimension to find a reason to bring up Dark Sector, haven't you?
Maybe.
Bob's just like, Feel brought up Warframe. I'm revving up these engines. Squiggity swooty. But yeah, no, this has me hype as hell. Like the thought of Durante getting to be his own for-hire studio to do this is great. It's basically the Sonic Mania of PC porting. Like, here's all the shit people who care about this would want.
And he seems focused on Japanese games so great, because they're the worst about it usually.
Yeah, no, they have quite the bad rep.
So, Bob, I heard you got some news.
Sure. There are some Nikkei reports, or Nikkei.
Yeah, Nikkei.
That came out just recently about Nintendo working on a smaller version of the Switch that'll emphasize portability and remove features to do that.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
I was convinced they're going to release a portable-only Switch. It won't be able to dock without like a weird adapter. It won't have the HD rumble. The controllers will be fused to it, and it'll have a bigger battery because right now the battery life
is garbage.
Is like the millstone around the Switch's neck.
Yeah, I do wonder. I mean, it's been enough years since the Switch came out where you could make it more battery efficient.
Can you play with it in portable plugged in because it drains faster than it charges?
It depends on what you're using as a charger. Because
I was using the charger it came with,
and it was dying. That's awesome.
Were you playing Skyrim?
He was playing.
I was playing Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay,
that'd do it. Speaking of which,
came out,
Mario Odyssey is like the number one reason why I want them to make a console exclusive version of the Switch that runs in 4K, because that game is beautiful.
I don't know about that, Chief, but I definitely think there will also be a console only version eventually, not this year, closer to the end of its life cycle, probably.
Oh yeah, part of the thing was that this would be this year for the system.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, technically, they could come out with a 4K Switch this year, but I think that they kick that down the road.
It's almost 3 years. It's assuming fall, it'll be 2.5 years, that's about when revisions usually start happening.
Yeah, that's when this lines up with the exact pacing of the Nintendo, the DS Lite.
So do you think it's going to be a Switch Lite or something that's named absolutely terribly, like the new 3DS?
No, I think Nintendo learned from all their terrible naming, so it'll probably be something like D-Switch.
I can think of as the Switch.
I really hope this is real, though, because I know people who continue to insist Nintendo is going to release a new portable separate from the Switch, and I want them to be proven wrong so utterly that I can rub it in their face.
Phil, can we not talk about Invignogna on the stream?
That can't be.
I feel like
there's no way he actually thinks that.
I don't know who you're talking to that could have such a bad take, and he's the only punching bag I could think of. So, but no, seriously, who the fuck are you? Just frequenting like high school anime clubs? Being like, hey guys, what do you think's what's up?
I mean, that's where I met this person, but
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you for being in an anime club. I'm laughing for the fact that I tried to think of where you would find someone with an opinion like that and thought, yeah, an anime club. And that's where you met him. So that checks out.
Bob, what else did Nikkei reports say?
They're also planning a more expansive online service this year.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that's incredibly dumb. I don't...
Oh, but then it has to be more expensive so when they give you Super Nintendo and N64 games.
I think it's going to be more expensive because they're going to offer those cloud saves that they actually already have the functionality for, but they haven't deployed at all.
I thought the cloud save deployed.
No.
What?
No, they're no.
I thought that was part of the original online thing.
I feel like that'd piss people off really bad because they already brought it up talking about the original online.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be a service kind of like Game Pass and PlayStation Now, where it's actual Switch games that you get access to a library of.
I don't think so. I think it'll be now you get Super Nintendo and N64 games, or it'll be.
They already talked about
N64
Super Nintendo with the old one though. But yeah, I guess if they go for N64 GameCube, that's insane. That's so dumb. Like,
okay, so it does have the cloud saves. It's just if you don't have the Nintendo Online for a set amount of time, you lose the saves. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like 6 months. I think it's not especially unreasonable.
Yeah, no, that's not unreasonable. I was kind of surprised when PlayStation Plus didn't delete all my shit when I didn't have it for 1 month. I was like, oh shit, the stuff's still here.
Yeah,
no,
I was going to say they deleted it, and I was going to be like, Jesus.
Sony's like, we can't afford the 30 megabytes.
It's too much.
Our Google Drive is filling up.
But yeah, I don't know what it could be. I'm sure it'll be stupid and everybody will complain about it. And then somebody say, it's only $40 a year. It's still less than PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live.
It's
Which
so
I hate it so much. Nintendo Switch Online is dog shit, but it's $20 a year, so you get what you pay for. Never mind. Let's talk about something Nintendo did good, which is trashing all of Metroid Prime 4.
Yes. I am all for this. I am all for restarting games if they're not working out well.
And you know what I was stunned by? Everybody's on the same page as me and Dan, and just good.
Well, it took this long. Okay. It took all of last gen's terrible fucking games for these people to fucking get the idea that canceling a game can be a good thing. It took all of these times that these people have gone out and bought a $60 piece of fucking shit where the trailers were lies and everything else for them to be like, oh yeah, Nintendo cancels games and that's a good thing. And then it took a billion people making YouTube video essays being like, Miyamoto once said a bad game is bad forever. A bad game might eventually be good. I hate Donkey Kong Country.
That's not even true anymore. So Miyamoto was wrong. A bad game can become good through patches, and then everybody will forget. We talked about it already on this episode.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Even if Mass Effect Andromeda was somehow perfectly fine right now, I don't think anyone would forget. But most games, yeah.
People forgot about Dragon Age 2.
That's true.
People have already largely forgotten about Final Fantasy 15.
Final Fantasy what?
15.
I thought that got canceled when Nomura moved off the project to make Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, that was Versus 13, and that came out. It's called Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, no, he's talking about Lightning Returns.
Oh, he's talking about Lightning Returns. Bob, I heard you might have some news about Lightning Returns.
Did you guys see the lunatic a couple people were punching on Twitter, where it's this guy who claims to be an insider and says that all Final Fantasy games are going to be a joint universe, the Versus Project, and that Versus 13 is coming out next year?
What?
This is too much.
Bob, talk about the news.
Sure.
Thank you.
So they're adding snow to Final Fantasy Dissidia.
Oh,
but
you mean Dissidia? You mean Dissidia NT?
Yeah, it's Dissidia NT.
I'd rather they add him to Dissidia for the PSP.
Right,
Duodessa was a good game.
God bless them for keeping at this, even though it's deader than dirt.
Right. It's going to Japanese arcades soon too, you know, this new editions.
I feel like there must be some kind of panic button internally where it's like, let's make a normal Dissidia game with the animations and models.
They're crazy for doing what they've done with this game. But yeah, the weirdest thing, this is snow from Lightning Returns. It's not like a snow anyone would care about.
Isn't that like edgy scythe snow? Doesn't he have like a scythe?
No, his arm turns into the giant monster. Like,
what?
Yeah, his because he let his God, what are those things that their print imprints called with a
I don't remember.
This let's see,
I just know they're called Falsier.
There's Falsi, LC.
Yeah, well, his arm was transformed because of that being in it for 500 years.
Oh my god.
And it's now Monster Hand.
So I own Final Fantasy 13 and I played about, 18, 20 hours of it. I've never played Lightning Returns except for outside of our quick play. Holy shit. What?
Here's my grasp of Final Fantasy 13 lore. I turned on the game. I got to the part where they explained these nebulous god figures make you a Falsier and give you a task. And if you don't do it, you turn into a horrible zombie. And if you do it, you turn into Crystal. And I'm like, and then I turned the game off.
I can understand that. That was literally the stupidest hurdle to get over mentally.
I think I might have gone a little bit further until the part early on where the thing falls into the ocean and then the ocean turns into Crystal. And I went, okay, I'm done.
It looked really cool, though.
It did look really cool. That
Final Fantasy 13 feels like a stereotype of Final Fantasy.
It absolutely does.
By someone who hates Final Fantasy.
What was it? I actually I follow a YouTube channel called Thor High Heels, and at some point he went through Final Fantasy 13 again. Unless I'm mixing up YouTubers, apologies if I am. He went through Final Fantasy 13 again to give it another shot. And he's like, and to be fair, the levels are really, really beautiful skyboxes. They're more like concepts for areas than real lived-in areas. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Especially, I do love that the game has a really good PC port, because the only reason I would ever play it again is to look at the art in high of res as possible, because it was so gorgeous and still is. Like, that art still, like, it aged really well. Like, you compare that to Metal Gear Solid 4, which looks like fucking dog shit nowadays.
Or compare it to Final Fantasy Lightning Returns.
Can we not? That
What
dog
about the
scares
dog?
me.
Bob, that game had 30 people on it.
That game had an amazing dog.
That dog is horrifying, and every day I wish I didn't remember it.
What are you talking about, Phil? I'm sure that there are more people than that working at Tri-Ace.
God,
No.
it's it is so depressing.
And then the game got outsold by Bravely Default, which is also bad. That was embarrassing for them.
You know, I let this slide to the other episode. I felt bad for not sticking up for it more. Phil, Bravely Default's okay. I like
no,
it.
it isn't as bad. It came out. It is fondly remembered because it came out when the JRPG genre was effectively dead.
So, Phil, are you looking forward to our new debate live show podcast segment, where it's just you will take live calls from people in the Discord about one of 3 issues?
Oh my god.
That would actually be really fun. I would love to do that. Dan's going to be handling it today. He will only take calls about why Dawn of Sorrow is dog shit, why Anticreates is dog shit, and why Inafune's a hack. Those are the 3 topics you could call in and debate him about today. Oh, man. So this actually, keeping true to my form, I'm going to bring up something that isn't gaming news per se. It is really specific stuff, but I feel like this is where
Gaming culture.
it is gaming culture. We're a gaming culture podcast.
It's fine. This ties into a news story I'll talk about right after, which could not be more different in tone.
Yeah. So Vic Mignogna, which is the voice actor behind Edward Elric and various other
he's
characters.
also Broly.
He is also Broly. Yep. Has been accused.
I have no idea what his voice sounds like.
Has been accused of being a sex pest, and by accused, I mean 40 different accounts have come out online of alleged unwelcome advances and gestures of the physical nature, and they've come out on Twitter recently. Many of these stories have pictures to illustrate.
This has been like an open secret for a decade.
I mean, so the next part of this that I wrote in my notes is, this basically backs up the impression I got from the guy 13 years ago at the one con I went to where he was there. So that's great. Also, because of this coming out, he's been kicked out of basically every panel at every anime convention he's supposed to be at this entire year, except for one. For some reason, this one, no matter how many people tweet at them to be like, hey, this guy's really fucked up. He's done some terrible stuff. It's out in the open now. You should uninvite him from the con. They just won't. The name's Anime Matsuri. I'm not saying people should go and protest and give him shit. I just think it's fucking insane.
But I mean, it's the last time you get to meet Vic Mignogna before he's totally out of the industry, though.
Black bagged.
If that happens, you have to remember, he's a fundy. He's a religious fundamental. He's a crazy religious guy.
Yeah, he sells.
So's the CEO of Funimation, which is probably why this has been going on untouched so long.
Yeah, he sells like Christian novels, like Christian books that he writes, as well as other things, and Christian CDs, which gave him an even more creeper vibe when I met him, to be perfectly honest. Ugh.
Oh, here's why. I forgot. I knew the name Anime Matsuri sounded weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was founded and run until 2015 by also a sex pest.
Yeah, I didn't look into that claim myself, so I didn't want to say it here, but I also read that.
I can't say it's true. I just know people who are in the Lolita fashion community, and they have all said, yeah, that dude's a creep.
Oh, wow.
Who have been to this convention.
Oh, wow. That's ugh. You know, like any voice actor from that era, he has like a hardcore fandom. Vic does. So
yeah, that's usually this stops because he sends his horde to harass whoever was doing it into silence. But this time it's too many.
Yeah, this time it's a lot, and their stories. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I saw one of these happenings occur because I don't know if it was consensual. I wasn't close enough to know, but it just gave me a fucking creepy vibe. The way he was acting at this con, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Hey, Bob.
Hey,
Feel has some news that ties into this, I think.
oh yeah,
They revealed season 2 of Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
I fucking love Dragon Ball.
Jiren and Videl are out already.
Oh fuck.
yeah. No,
And they
it's already here.
they also revealed Movie Broly and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta.
I'm a broken person. You said movie but, and I was like, movie Bob, what?
And then there's 2 unrevealed characters for the season pass. For season pass 2.
Yeah, this is good. I'm liking all these picks. I know nothing about Jiren except for apparently strength that exploits open weaknesses is not true strength.
It's so incredible when he revealed his backstory, people just like dubbed in baby talk into it because it was so nothing.
That's great.
But yeah, apparently Jiren is apparently both characters are good because everybody in Dragon Ball FighterZ is kind of good.
Yeah.
Except Fat Boo, who is apparently still useless.
That's disappointing. I would like to know, Videl's like a striker character where her moves cause Great Saiyaman to appear and do some attacks. So that's how that makes sense.
She's kind of like 18.
Mm-hmm.
But like Great Saiyaman sweeps in and does the stuff she can't do because she can't do ki blasts. I think she can still fly, but she can't.
Yeah, she can fly. Yeah.
Here's the funniest part about Videl though.
Mm-hmm.
Arxis clearly had an internal dispute over which version of Videl to put in the game. The short hair version or the long hair version with the pigtails. So they put in both, and she's the only character with an alt costume.
So wait, she can use every color with both pigtail or both hairstyles.
That discussion room was very heated.
And it's not just her hair. She had different outfits for those 2 designs, and that changes too.
What?
This is too much.
It's not completely different, but it's different enough to notice.
Hey, Bob, I heard you got some news about Persona.
Oh yeah, they're actually bringing Persona Q to the States in June 4th. That is a
Persona
3D,
Q?
Yeah, Persona
first
Q2.
Oh, Q2.
My bad. But yeah, the 3DS game, which is the dungeon crawler made by guys who do the Eternia Odyssey series.
Etrian Odyssey.
Etrian. They don't plan to do an English dub, but they're actually bringing it to the States, which is kind of crazy.
Kind of incredibly unexpected because it's 2019 and it's a 3DS game.
Time for me to rant. Atlas, what the fuck is wrong? Why can you not get games out in a timely fashion? This is pathetic for somebody owned by Sega.
Because they need to completely finish the game, ship it, and then start talking to people about maybe translating it.
You're owned by Sega. Sega needs to go down there and say, no, we're fixing this.
Let me explain to you how this is supposed to work. Imagine if during development you sent them shit to translate.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Trails of Cold Steel 3 is gonna be 2 years after it released when it comes out here. But 1, it switched publishers, and 2, that game has 3.5 million words as its script.
Yeah, no, the script in that game is fucking enormous.
I'm sure that Q2 will have that much.
But Q2 taking 7 months, those dancing games taking more than 6.
Yeah, the dancing game's insane.
Those dancing games tanked, by the way, because everybody imported them.
I'm sure.
Well, not only that, I'm sure it drove down the sales just a bit that they didn't have an insane story mode like the first one did.
They had something basically that, though. They had like all these little character interactions, which seemed like the thing you would want in the game.
I mean, the first one was based on Persona 4, right?
Yeah.
As I understand it, that thing's canon, the dancing game, right?
Yeah, it continues the story from 4, so it feels
like the first one,
substantial.
it's that many years later and you're getting a canonical sequel chronologically. Like, that's a huge appeal One of the first things I heard about the new 2 dancing games is that they weren't necessarily canon and they didn't have a story mode, like a traditional story mode like the first one did.
It'd be kind of hard to do a sequel to the third game, considering the protagonist fucking dies at the end.
Spoilers! Oh Jesus! If KZ was here, he would make us bleep that.
Spoilers for a 13-year-old game.
Whatever. Final Fantasy 15 didn't even ship, and he fucking made us bleep that. Right? That game's not done yet. They still haven't hit gold. They haven't gone gold on Final Fantasy 15 yet, Bob.
Tabata just quit the company. It's they couldn't release it. I'm sorry.
He's like, guys,
I hope
please.
in my heart that those dancing games also did worse because everybody realized what fucking trash they are.
Well, it also doesn't help that they released 2 at the same time, basically.
Yeah, that should have been like a single game, and they just were like they thought they could do that.
It wasn't a single game in the States either, right? I'm sure it was going to be like $60 for both.
No.
Yeah, no. They
I think there's a bundle pack where you get them both for like 80 or 100, but that's
I think it's 80. I think they're 40
fucking
each.
insane. But yeah, no, that game should have either been both of those games on one disc or it should have been years separated. The fact that they greenlit 2 carbon copy cookie cutter fucking games is insane. Like, I don't...
Do those have dubs? I don't even know. Nobody talked about the English releases.
Dubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not completely irredeemable.
Like, that's the only reason that anyone would want the English version is for that.
Well, Bob, it's time to do a Let's Play of one of those games and have our channel taken down.
Exciting.
I think it's all remixes. It's not like any songs that would be...
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. I think the remixes would actually have a higher chance of getting claimed than the originals just because of the fucked up, like, licenses and contracts they're going to have written around it.
Yeah, probably. So here's another disaster. Fallout 76, this is now a segment of the podcast where we talk about how Fallout 76 fucked up this week.
What did we call that last time? Todd Howard Minute of the Week?
Let's just call it the Todd Howard. I'm too baffled to think of a clever name at the moment.
Welcome to the Todd Howard Clown Show.
Fallout 76 updated.
Mm-hmm.
The update brought back bugs that had already been removed because apparently they based the update on an earlier version of the game that didn't have those bugs solved.
Is this being worked on by like 5 people?
No, it's being worked on by like 700, which is part of the problem.
God, I don't.
That game doesn't have 700 people working.
It brought back hard crashes. It brought back item duping. It brought back all kinds of shit that had been fixed.
Is this only on PC or is this like all platforms got this update?
It must only be on PC, but let me check. Because I can't imagine that the console versions get patched as much as the PC version, because that isn't free.
Right.
Looks like it's just PC. Although I like that the person who wrote about it said, I tried to play again earlier this month, but it crashed and deleted a bunch of my shit, so I stopped.
I would consider that a blessing.
And one other disaster,
mm-hmm.
the disaster for the industry, not for us, it's good for us.
It's good for us.
Facebook wrapping a belt around the neck of microtransactions, just yanking as hard as they can.
Yeah.
So a court documents came out in a lawsuit Facebook is involved in about how they encouraged kids to buy microtransactions in games while obscuring the fact that they were money.
Uh-huh.
And internally referred to the kids as whales.
I mean, it's amazing when somebody gets sued for this shit that we know that they're all doing, because it is gross and exploitative.
It's only going to be a couple years before this shit is regulated, and I can, in my head, I can just see Ubisoft loses 20% of its stock value, EA loses 50% of its stock value, Activision loses 40% of its stock value, all in the same day.
And yet somehow Nintendo gets out of this completely fine. How strange. It's almost like they've made a habit out of respecting their consumer and not doing really gross microtransactions.
Okay, here's the money shots of this.
Okay.
Facebook employees used the term friendly fraud to refer to purchases made by children without their parents' knowledge.
Whoa!
Oh my God.
Whoa!
Facebook employees repeatedly came up with ways to fix this problem, but were repeatedly denied because Facebook wanted to profit off the kids.
But I hear we might have some emails.
Yep.
Should be trusting all of our private data to. Yep. This is reason 307 why every time I hear a person go, "Oh, I don't like Twitter, but I use Facebook," my mind is fucking blown.
It's stunning how microtransactions, which are designed from the ground up to prey on people with compulsion disorders, the people behind them are generally evil.
Weird.
I would not expect that.
Like, it's weird how the characterization by every major gaming site of these poor developers being forced to do this to make ends meet is a complete fabrication.
It's the worst of the worst of microtransactions, which is the only kind I feel you see on Facebook or on mobile. Being predicated on the notion that you need to find out a way to drill your consumer for that oil and tailor the entire experience out of that is fucking horrifying. Like the fact that that is just an understood preconceived like it's the basis of beginning the brainstorming of how you're going to build in microtransactions. Like
that's the design goal of the game. The game has nothing to do with it.
Right. When you go back far enough, you can see GDC panels where they're just open about this, where they're like, hey, here's some really cool tricks to, get more money out of your consumer and change your design so that way it more incentivizes microtransactions. Like, that's actually why.
And now they're probably like, don't look at that, and they're trying to shove it behind a door. That's gonna be how it is when the congressional panels start happening.
I mean, the thing is, the people who went to GDC and said that are the people who need press at all. Like, it's the more indie dev type. It's not the people at EA. But there is a really good story I feel most people haven't heard about, where the first GDC where game journalists started showing up and started writing articles was sometime around 2007. That's when it started opening up a bit more to journalists instead of just game devs. And that was the year that someone who worked at EA went to fucking GDC and he called the Wii underpowered garbage. And all these fucking journalists took shots over and over and over. The EA calls them and they're like, within the day EA calls him. It is just like, what the fuck did you say at GDC? Because EA was...
I didn't know the narcs were there.
I didn't know... Wait. What's that term again? For journalists? God damn it. The fucking...
Sneak something.
Yeah, those press sneak
fucks.
Yeah, those press sneak fucks were there. I didn't know.
The only good thing NeoGaf ever did was make that Jason Schreier's title on the website. Where it would say it under his username whenever he posted press sneak fuck.
Yeah, no, that's real good. And if you think about it, that era is actually when the whole Steven Spielberg EA puzzle game came out. That was that era for the Wii. What was the name of that again? It was the one where you dealt with those blocks.
God.
See,
recently.
My brain is ruined because every time I try to remember it nowadays, I'm like, yeah, it's Roblox. Wait,
Zoinks.
no, that's a different thing. But in any case, yeah, so that kind of fucking hilarious.
Let's talk about Anthem again for 1 second.
Oh, no!
So, a tester on Reset Era who tested and proved that No Man's Sky does not have multiplayer.
Yeah, that guy's a hero.
He tested the Anthem demo, and when the Anthem demo fails to connect, it floods the servers with requests and essentially denial of service attacks itself and EA. And this knocked a lot of EA games offline on Saturday when the demo was up.
Yeah, that's unbelievably bad network code design.
How do you even screw up this bad?
Origin crashed. Origin, all of it.
All of it.
Oh my God.
Beautiful.
How do you... Oh my God.
2 weeks to launch.
I know. What was it? One of the defenses that I've heard them roll out is, hey guys, sorry about all these problems. That build's 6 weeks old. And it's like, wait, what do you think you fixed in 6 weeks?
We remade the entire game.
The game is now as polished as a Nintendo game. Believe us and go buy it on day one. Thank you.
Got any more news, either of you?
Nope. We are all out of news. Time itself has frozen. No further events have occurred. So I guess we should move on to emails. If you have an email you want to send to the Big Think Dimension, send it to btd@gigaboots.com. That is btd@gigaboots.com. But before we get to emails, we need to thank our podlords.
The podlords. Our very valuable podlords that this show could not exist without.
Exactly. I sit there every day and I think, yeah, you do it, podlords, you sexy motherfuckers. Thank you for your support so the show can exist. Bob, say thank you to the nice people.
Oh yeah, thanks guys. It's really appreciated.
Our podlords for this show are Danny Richardson and Not Gak. Thank you both very much for your support.
Thank you immensely. So this is from Tectonic Improv. Hey, big brains, sorry for double dipping the past couple times. I'll cut back from now on. What's a game you thought was going to become huge that never caught on, or vice versa? I have the worst version of this.
Okay.
I was convinced the PlayStation TV, the T-Vita, was gonna be huge.
Oh, he's one of those. I know that was a huge sect of people when that was announced. It was like, oh man, this is gonna be big.
I don't know that I ever thought it was going to be big because at the outset it has so many problems. It doesn't have back touch. It doesn't have touch screen. It just seemed like a real clusterfuck. And then when it came out and didn't have proper scaling, that was the ultimate. Then what is it for? Oh, and then you have to have some games whitelisted, right?
Oh yeah.
In order to even fucking run them. Yeah, no, the Vita TV is a huge missed opportunity. Very upsetting. I say that as someone who owns one. My game is going to be. I honestly thought Vanquish would do better. Vanquish was a really great game. Really fun and very different for a shooter at the time, and it just didn't do well. I think it sold 1 million by the end of it. Like, it sold over 1 million, including the recent PC re-release. But that game should have done so much better.
Yeah, I imagine the PC port did pretty well because it got a lot. It had word of mouth by then.
Yeah,
and it would actually run well.
What was it? I think it was only a month and a half or 2 months into it, and it sold pretty well. Approaching what it sold on other platforms.
Right.
But Dan, it's 4 hours long and it has no multiplayer, but it's a shooter.
Good.
That's
I think
bad.
JP Clemens from Platinum at the time came out recently being like, yeah, and then the playtime on that game got out, and all the interviews became about, oh, but how short is it? And it was just something that he could not fight against. Like,
because like that's game journalists for you. If they know there's a button to push about your game, they're more interested in pushing that button that everyone else is pushing instead of asking questions that might actually illuminate more aspects of the game.
This reminds me of that article recently, and it's not rare that gaming journalists can actually get a rise out of me anymore because I just expect them to write the stupidest shit imaginable.
Yeah.
But is Devil May Cry 5 long enough to be full price at 15 hours? Almost made me fucking shoot blood out of my eyes.
Yeah, no, that was epic.
I mean, I hear it's 15 hours and I get anxiety because I'm like, I feel like that has to be someone who's just not good at the game.
Yeah, I feel like a bad run of 3 will be 15 hours. Like,
yeah, a bad run of 3 will be 15 hours.
Yeah, like that's around where that would clock, I bet.
That's what they said, though, so I imagine it's probably like...
It's probably like 12.
A bit longer.
Well, but is that number coming from Capcom, or is that number coming from...
It's coming from Capcom.
I think they're estimating for people being bad. I can't imagine that game being an 18-hour ordeal for people who are bad at Devil May Cry. Sorry, they're estimating that time for people who are bad at that game. I think I jumbled up my words there. But, yeah, I don't know. Hey, Bob, do you have a game that you would say?
I know that before Meg came out, we thought that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, no. Zipper Interactive's MAG, Massive Action Game for the PlayStation 3, where you can play as, how many is it? 256?
Was that or 500 people?
I'm gonna look it up. No, it's a power of 2, I'm pretty sure.
So, I've never heard of this game until this moment. So
are you fucking
correct?
Oh shit! 256.
256. Okay.
We literally, that was such a fucking meme as Sony fanboys that on our original YouTube channel, we made a joke about how shit of an idea that is, while also thinking it was going to be a good game, right?
And then we played the beta once and we're like, oh.
Yeah, no, you play the beta once and it's like, oh, this is like a hellish version of Battlefield where you just run and then die. That's it. There's
okay,
no
I looked at the cover.
I
looked at the cover. It looks exactly like 800 different games on the PS3 and 360.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it has not existed for 5 years, so that would explain why I've never heard of it.
Yeah, no, they shut the servers down a while ago. But the crux of the skit we did on our original channel was more players make a better game, so more actors in our skit will make a better skit. So then we got some local like anime comedy troupe to co-host that video, and we told them, hey, just do your normal material, and it was awful. So we were like, this is a really good bit. We just have them come to do their normal routine, and then we point out how awful that is.
Wow, you're cruel, Dan.
Hey, they were really down for that video. We did another video where we savagely murdered one of the members, and the joke was we savagely murdered one of the members. There was no other joke there. I don't think. No, there was one layer of joke, but I'm not going to explain that. Yeah, no, it was a good video. And Mag is a terrible game.
Yeah, no, Mag is absolutely terrible. I feel bad for even thinking for a few days that it was going to be big.
Look, Bob, that was early to mid PS3.
Right.
We were members of the Church of Sony. We get to go back on the things we said and thought back then, you know?
Also, I'm super.
God, I can't imagine being a member of the Church of Sony then.
Oh, it was beautiful. You have no idea. Imagine the Crusades, right? It's like that. If you don't believe me, I could get Dr. Aggro on the like a future podcast to talk about it, because he was also deep into that Sony fanboy club. In fact, everyone you've ever seen affiliated with GigaBoots, like loosely as a member except for Eric, was deep in the Sony church.
Handsome Joe's showing up.
Handsome Joe was not. Yeah, he was an ex-bro. Like literally.
Was Xeon actually an ex-bro, or was that just a bit for that video?
That was just a bit for that video. He was literally just trying to be like some weird parody of people we hated. That's how writing works, I think. Anyway, no, Xeon. Hail Xeon from youtube.com/ I think it's spelled out hailxeon.com. Anyway, he was also deep in the Church of Sony. And to be fair, it was pretty easy to be that because the Sony exclusives were more artistically holistic. Like you look at it and it's like, yeah, you know, I can see why I would want Heavenly Sword over a shooter and then another shooter on Microsoft's platform. Oh, and Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which just spit in the face of like longtime fans of Banjo and Kazooie. You know, it was pretty easy, but I'll save that for someone writing in another question some other week about our days in the Sony church. So let's move on to the next question.
So this is from Anonymous R. Hey, Giga Boys, absent and feel. I love listening to Dan rant and rave about audio-visual tech, be it good or bad. Things like checkerboarding, pan and scan, and of course ray tracing, all those things that don't exist. I was wondering if there was any recent tech developments any of you guys were excited for, or trends you'd rather see die and go away forever. Game streaming, die.
Before I launch into my thing about this, I'm really glad I stopped talking before I said, let me explain how I was really into the idea of the cell processor. Like, oh man.
Oh my God.
No, dude, you don't understand. If you take out that useless operation that no one can effectively utilize on the Xbox 360 CPU, the Xenon, it actually has a huge amount less floating point processing power than the cell processor. It is so powerful. But let's see, tech I'm excited about. I would really like it if next-gen consoles had a solid state drive in them, or at least could benefit from having a solid state drive stuck in them aftermarket. I think eliminating load times, like Kingdom Hearts 3, beautiful game, but you go to reset one of the mini games and it takes a few seconds to just reset a mini game where you're already standing where it's going to reset you to.
And if you decide to go to the bistro from the save point or something, it takes like
forever,
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Spyro Reignited had really horrible load times too.
Yeah, no, it's really easy to end up with a game with really horrible load times nowadays just because of how...
I'm honestly convinced that's why there's so many boring, shitty climbing segments in the new God of War, because they're stealth loading bits.
Yeah, I mean,
we gotta load this millions of dollars of visuals.
The stealth loading bits are time-honored tradition, sir.
Let's get that camera in close.
So many.
Let's move through this tiny crevice. But yeah, I think the number one thing would be that I really do dig G-Sync and FreeSync, which allow gaming monitors and increasingly nowadays TVs via FreeSync to sync up to your console's output. So an example is Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Xbox One X. Its performance isn't a locked 60 frames per second. It runs at 1440p internally, and it renders somewhere between 40 and 60 depending on the scene. If you have something like FreeSync, your display will sync up to that signal perfectly, and it'll actually make it look a lot smoother, so the frame rate drops are less noticeable. I think that's an amazing tech, and seeing NVIDIA sort of bend a bit and allow compatibility with FreeSync, I think is really, really cool. And I'll stop talking now. Hey, Bob, do you have anything tech-wise that you're excited about?
I mean, I am also excited for those two things you mentioned. Like, the G-Sync stuff is really cool.
They're both kind of game-changing in a way.
Yeah, we got to actually see some of that with Dr. Agro's monitors.
Yeah, Oh, God, should I tell them what he has? So I built Dr. Agro's
He would probably
PC.
like that you glow up for him.
Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm doing it for you, Agro. I built for Dr. Agro his insane PC rig where almost the cost of the entire PC, which was actually more than the cost of the PC, if I remember correctly, was the cost of his triple 1440p G-Sync 120 hertz monitors. He has 3 displays hooked up to his PC. All 3 of them are G-Sync monitors. All 3 of them are 1440p, and all 3 of them run at like 120 frames per second. It looks really smooth when it's one, but once you hook up 3 fucking displays, it's so many pixels that anything chugs.
Right, I'm like, he doesn't care though.
So he has the alien lair.
Yes, he does. He's very proud of that aesthetic. It is his core aesthetic as a PC thing.
He brags about playing Disgaea 1 PC port. I think just to make people cry.
Yeah, no, that's right. Anything else though, Bob?
I'm really glad that 3D is dead.
Like 3D TV.
Yeah, 3D TV technology.
Oh, but it's not though. It's not. Nintendo did another patent for face tracking recently.
But see, that's actually better because
what if the new portable Switch has 3D?
Gross.
Okay, let me one, not as gross as you would think, because 2, if they're just patenting head tracking to change how your perspective looks in game, it won't make the image look shitty like the 3D display on the 3DS does, and it actually is shockingly effective. In fact, I've gotten more visceral placement in the game from a feature like that than I have with VR on PlayStation VR. An example is and I wish I remembered which episode it was. We did a single season of an American Truck Simulator Let's Play with Jim Rackazer, and Jim Rackazer has the full steering wheel. Like, we're talking, he has a stand to hook the steering wheel to and like clamp it down. He's got the pedals and everything and a stick shift. And he also has one of those IR tracker hats. So it is doing what this patent is describing. It's just tracking your head relative to the screen and then changing your perspective based on that. When I pulled that truck out of the parking spot, because this was my first time trying it in the video, and I hit my brakes to stop at the stop sign, my gut, like, it was gut-wrenching because my body expected to feel the sensation of stopping the vehicle because the head tracking was that good, and the controls were straight up just pedals and a steering wheel. So it's like, that tech can be really good. In that case, it was too good and fucked with me. I think Bob said he had a similar visceral experience with that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's
that's
too immersive.
Way too real.
It was too
I like
real.
that kind of stuff. I'm really excited for the future when VR gets better and starts to really fuck with people's minds.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool. I know the first wave of VR was people really scared to fuck with people in VR, and then now everyone who plays VR stuff is pretty fucking numb to it. So they kind of are opening up more.
Apparently Japan don't care. Japan had those at like the Club Sagas.
Yeah.
Where where it's like walk across this narrow beam over a chasm.
Yeah, that looked amazing.
And before we move on, unless feel
I
know you said
I said what I wanted to die. I didn't say what I'm excited about.
Okay.
Basically all the applications for machine learning. I was really impressed by the Wii game upscaling that we talked about in a previous episode.
Yeah, no, that is stunning.
I think stuff like that becoming more accessible. Like I don't think it'll ever really be used in by like major publishers, maybe for remasters. But I'm imagining like we're a middle tier dev, and now we can make 4K textures.
Yeah, there's that, and then on top of that, like you can use machine learning like Microsoft is, where they're going to use machine learning to figure out what parts of a game are accessed first, and when it goes to install that game, it'll prioritize that over all the other data. And now the game dev doesn't have to figure it out themselves, which is good, because as we found out time and time again this gen, they can't figure it out themselves. It's too hard to figure out what people will want to use first.
I think the funniest is the one for Mortal Kombat X, which might be exactly them predicting correctly.
Yeah.
Which is, it just, the first things you can do is you can have Sub-Zero fight Scorpion.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That was really good. There is one more thing I wanted to say. I guess tech I want to see die, checkerboard rendering. For the love of Christ, just give me a lower res image that looks solid. Because checkerboard rendering just results in shit looking spotty, things not being shaded correctly, things looking more aliased if certain movements are done. It looks gross. And then one more thing I actually am excited about. Sparse voxel octree global illumination. That Sfogy. There are only 2 games, as far as I know, that are coming out by the end of the PS4 life cycle that feature that. And that is the Tomorrow Children, which is already down, so you can't even play that game anymore, and Dreams. And basically what that is they are taking a completely original... Like, you know how ray tracing is a thing with these fucking NVIDIA cards. This is basically their highly optimized version of that to work on lower end hardware, where they have specialized data structures and all this other shit to make it possible. So this is why, and like we've got 2 games running on the PS4 that are using this completely different way of rendering using Sfogy. I think ray tracing or something equivalent to that, something pretty close to what RTX currently is on PC, will absolutely be possible on next-gen consoles. It's just a question of whether or not developers will want to do that. And now I'm done with that segment.
So this is from Xaver. Since tropes are a bad thing according to normies that read TV tropes and watch cinema sins, what is a trope you absolutely hate and one that you enjoy no matter how many times it happens?
Well,
so here's the trope I hate the absolute most.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a traditionally attractive white girl with some minor physical imperfection that makes me insecure, so I don't intimidate the nerds I'm intended to pander to.
Well, as you all know, there are certain tropes that really bug me. For example, that fucking sentence. Why do people open with that ever? It's like a giant red sign to the audience that goes, hey, look, our characters should know that, and we're going to have them acknowledge that. But now, for whatever reason, all these characters are going to agree to sit around and talk about the thing that everyone already knows. So that way you can find out. As you all know, is the worst sentence opener in the fucking world.
I loved it in that new Neo Yokio, though.
Oh, Neo Yokio?
Yokio, yes.
Oh, I actually didn't watch that. Oh, wait, you're talking about the original.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said new Neo Yokio, and I thought you meant the new episode they did.
Nah.
Like waiter. Yeah, as you all know, I'm dealing with depression.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that was fucking hilarious. That was insanely bad writing. Neo Yokio is either incredibly brilliant or, as I'm hedging my bets, incredibly stupid. Bob, are there any tropes in storytelling or, video game design in general, movies, whatever, that absolutely drive you insane?
I always have a hard time with these ones where I'm supposed to... Let me see.
I think the best one ever is the Solid Snake. Just say the last proper noun I heard.
Right,
with
like
a question mark.
That's really bad.
But I love that in Metal Gear and hate it in everything else.
See, that's the same here. I don't know what it is, but hearing him go, AI.
It's because you can imagine Snake just being a fucking idiot.
Metal Gear? I mean, Snake may be a fucking idiot, but Otacon got a message, and because it had the initials of his long-lost sister, he sent Snake into a fucking naval submarine.
It has the same energy as the what? Metal Gear has the same energy as Skullface and Venom Snake staring at each other while the whoa kicks in.
Robot's characters doing that. I'm going to give you an exact percentage thing. I know that you've pointed that out a few times.
Because we hit a real fever pitch of that for a while there, where it was just like tons of like in GigaBoots. I pointed out multiple times where it's just like we have a 0.006%, and then like in every and the funny thing is, Big Hero 6 also did this.
Yeah,
and it was also doing it at the same time anime was doing it, like really bad. And that was hilarious. But yeah, no, they always treat it as you need to not give us the odds. We're going to win because we believe in ourselves. And I'm like, fucking stop. Everyone put this joke down for a few years.
That goes all the way back to A New Hope.
Yeah, no,
never tell me
original
the odds.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's like they still can't write.
No, see, there's a difference between that and having a character whose entire trait.
The weird one was Lupin. Like when they had the guy that was like the CIA agent or whatever show up, and he was just a human, and he was doing that, and was like, okay, guys, this is weird.
Let's talk.
Bob,
what's up?
Federal agents are not human.
Oh, okay, got it. I feel like Lupin would sign up for that. I didn't finish that season. Maybe that guy was a robot and I didn't even know.
I look forward to that being added to the GigaBoots out of context Tumblr.
Yeah, did you know there's a Tumblr now, Bob? There's a GigaBoots out of context Tumblr.
Great.
So, Phil, what's next?
We need to talk about tropes we enjoy. Dan crumples to dust.
I mean, we already talked about Metal Gear. I'm done.
So a trope that I'll always, if you play the theme song or the insert song in your show, I will get hype no matter what.
Right, yeah, that feels
Kill
so
la Kill,
that one.
last episode, Ambiguous starts playing. Kino, as stupid as it is, fucking Goku using Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10, and the theme song starts playing. I get hype.
Yeah.
I get hype every time, no matter what you do.
Yeah, no, it's an easy sell. You've heard that song 100 times, but playing it in the middle of the action sequence, it just makes it way better.
The entire back quarter of Dragon Ball Super gets carried by Kaka.
Is that the name of the theme song?
You know, the Ultra Instinct song that starts with Ka Ka Ka.
We wouldn't know because, as you all know, from our GT versus Super podcast, we only made it 13 episodes in on each. We finished one season and went, okay, we need to put this podcast on a hiatus, otherwise we're gonna die. As it turns out, guys, GT is bad. Like, pedophile as a villain bad. Like, holding a shot on pedophile as a villain molesting someone he turned into an action figure bad. That's how bad GT
Bob,
is.
did you have a trope you enjoy?
Yeah, you took the one that I was really thinking of, so that's rough. But yeah, insert songs and all sorts of things like that, because just developing a song for the sake of, okay, this is the one we're gonna play when things get really cool. Like even in Bleach, with that awful song that's like, oh man,
number one.
Yes,
Ichigo's theme song.
Ichigo's theme song. It's bad, but it plays at the best moments.
Exactly.
And it fools you.
Here's another one I enjoy. Any kind of title card for a character, like the frame freezes, and we get like at the start of 358 over 2 days, when we all lost our minds at the Mega Man X4-esque title cards for the organization members.
Yeah, no, that was good. Yeah, no, I can't think of any tropes right now. I'm sure they exist. Everything's a trope, so.
So this one is from Hobie Bryant. Hey, Big Think Boys, new fan here. My question is this. What's a game franchise you missed out on, only to come back and regret it?
He then goes on to talk about, missed out on RE2 as a kid, didn't like it because he was a dumb kid and couldn't deal with the control scheme and other stuff, and didn't really care about Resident Evil until Resident Evil 4 came out. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of... See, I would say Kingdom Hearts, but I legitimately think Kingdom Hearts 1 is a bad game, and I'd never recommend anyone play it, which is why I'm trying to get Halsey on to play Kingdom Hearts, but I'm trying to steer his ass towards Birth by, because it's like, hey, Birth by Sleep is chronologically the first game.
Can we not have this discussion?
I'm just saying. I don't know. Bob, are there any game franchises where you're like, oh man, I was such a jaded young man, but nowadays I'm much more open and accepting? Because that's what you do as you get older, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Or just something that you heard about but didn't play until way after it was out, and you're like, man,
I'm gonna cheat.
I missed out on this good shit.
I'm gonna cheat. JoJo's. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, just the fucking anime. Because I was, I saw a random episode from a few arcs in, and I was like, what the fuck? But watching from the beginning, it's really fucking good. Obviously, I don't need to tell anyone that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is good. But that's a thing I wish I checked out sooner.
I don't...
I'm hoping I don't have that moment again with Hunter x Hunter, because the parts of Hunter x Hunter I've seen were also really late in it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This isn't Yu Yu Hakusho. You said it was the Yu Yu guy.
This happened to me with Yakuza, which I don't think I got into it until like 2013, which was during the dead zone of nothing being localized. The localization of this series is just over.
Yeah.
So I played all 4 of them, and then I went, oh no, what the fuck do I do? I doomed myself.
Fuck. What was I thinking? I may actually go and try the Yakuza games now that Kingdom Hearts is wrapping up, and I've played fucking everything in that series except for Chain of Memories.
I still have one.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah, no, it is fine, which is why I'm not going to stick around and play that. But Bob, what did you think of?
Okami, I totally skipped out on it. I'm trying to go back now and see if I like it. So I don't know yet. Jury's still out, but...
Oh, so like you didn't really beat it back in the day?
Oh no, I played it for... I didn't have a memory card.
Oh.
Like I found my memory card was filled after playing through the 40 minutes of intro that game has, which is way too much. And there's no way to skip it.
Yeah.
It's one of those games that has a really long intro.
And then I sent it back to GameFly because like, I'm not going to sit through that again. Which I felt bad about because, I like Kami. I respect him as a developer.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see what he'd do with a game like that. I never got around to it.
Oh, I didn't play Parasite even till last year.
Holy shit. Oh my God. That is...
Well, here's the thing. The game store never had the first one for me to rent.
Right.
So I tried to rent 2.
Yeah.
And they gave me 2 copies of the second disc.
How the fuck do you do... Oh my God. I am so sorry. Parasite Eve 1 was a core part of my youth and the PS1 experience for me. That game is so good. And it really traces back to, if I was paying attention at the time, the key difference between me and most game journalist type reviews, because that game did not review well because it was too short. Ugh. Anyway, I would also like to note Hobie Bryant signed the email, all the best and keep them brains huge. I will try, Hobie.
So this is from Sheep. I have a question for the biggest thinkers this side of the Kingdom Hearts 3 language barrier. If you could pick one thing to eat from any video game, what would it be and why?
Fuck, I think it starts with a search for the finest ingredients. I'm pretty sure that's how I start answering this question, but... Shit, all the food in Final Fantasy 15 looks so unbelievably good.
It is just cheating for that. It's like, oh my God.
But like they're based on real dishes. So the counter to that is you want to think of stuff that doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah.
Like sea salt ice cream.
Mine's easy.
Oh my God, sea salt ice cream isn't real. It's not real.
I got the facts here. I was just going to say, of course, some intelligent boosting items to make our brains bigger.
In that case, can I just eat a shitload of the mushrooms from Ehergi's dungeon mode and just get massive constitution?
need those strength boosts.
I need to get so strong from these mushrooms.
So what's popped out to me is the harpy egg omelet over rice from Dragon's Crown.
Dragon's Crown also has great looking food. God, that game is so good. That is the fucking game of a generation. Ugh. Why is Aegis taking so long to come out?
This is from Anonymous A. Hello, GigaBoys. Thank you for being literally the only podcast I listen to that when Kingdom Hearts is brought up doesn't make me want to claw my eyes out. We try. There has to be at least one.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is try. His question is, what characters would we want in a Shonen Jump crossover made by Arxis? And I think we should just pick 3 characters each.
Okay.
Because it would be like fighters, basically. 24 roster, probably.
Yeah. I'm working on it. I just need a third.
First, I would like Toriko from Toriko. The author of that manga is a creep, but it's stunningly good. And the main character has cool, dumb powers, like he throws spiritual forks and knives at people. So if you don't know about Toriko, it's a manga that takes place on a alternate version of Earth that is roughly 50 times the size of regular Earth. And it's about eating fantasy food, and eating fantasy food makes you stronger. So all training arcs are actually go find this food and prepare it and eat it.
Huh. That's neat.
Which is why his main weapons are fork and knife.
That sounds really fucking neat. I need to check that out.
Where most battle manga get bogged down in like everybody's too strong now, Toriko turns into it to the degree that at the end in the final battle, like giant handprints that are visible from space are being made in the planet. In addition to him, I do want Medaka, the main character from Medaka Box. I think I'm stunned she isn't in Jump Force already, because it feels like that's an obvious pull, so you have a girl.
They put her in that last game they did,
yeah, she was in the last one,
so
I'm surprised she's not in this one. Plus, it was written by the Monogatari guy, so it has like that going for it. And yes, I also want the weird, creepy rival character Kumagawa from that in there, who was also in J-Stars, I think. But other than him, can I use my third pick to bar anyone from Boruto from being in it?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a
I don't
noble
think that was
sacrifice.
a threat, but okay.
So instead, well, yeah, they're in Jump Force.
It's true.
Boruto is in Jump Force.
The Bolt virus spreads. Do you think we're ever going to get that Boruto and Bolt crossover where it's Boruto meeting the dog Bolt?
I think they're working on it. It's got to keep coming.
I keep forgetting Bolt is a fucking movie that exists until I think about Boruto. And think, yeah, they couldn't call it Bolt.
Yeah, they named it they made a 360 game based on it. I'm sure it's terrible.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I think you guys should give it a chance.
No.
So I'm going to start my list, and I'll alternate with Bob because I'm a gentleman and I don't want to just pull 3 picks up front. My first pick may actually be more obscure than any of Feels. I want the Nerima Daikon brothers.
Are they in Shonen Jump?
No. It's just it can be a fighting game or a Shonen Jump style crossover. That's the question.
Oh, it can go anything anime.
Yeah, because
man,
and a good thing too, because
it just says Shonen Jump, a Shonen Jump crossover.
Then I got nothing. I'm not gonna sit here and be like Yusuke and Goku. There, done. That's boring. Okay, Bob, you do your 3.
But then it could be a JoJo.
Also, I thought of a third one actually. Put in Robin Mask from Kinnikuman, who is my favorite Kinnikuman character. Who I don't even think he was in J-Stars. Kinnikuman himself, I don't think was.
That even had that weird police officer, so that's surprising.
Bob, what are your picks?
Let's see. I think that it'd be funny to see them try to do something with Soma from Food Wars. Which is the cooking anime, which has 0 battling. So I want to see them try and do that.
Yeah, people just eat food and then their clothes explode off.
Yeah, I guess you could, I don't know, show people exploding clothes at people. I don't know.
In my head, the theoretical version of this game is like J-Stars Ultimate, or not J-Stars Ultimate, but Jump Ultimate Stars on the DS.
Uh-huh.
where there's a lot of characters that don't fight that are assists.
Yeah.
So it might be like Marvel vs. Capcom 1, where it had the assists that are not playable characters.
I swear I had others once. I mean, there's the obvious stuff, like
do the obvious stuff because it's Shonen Jump,
right?
If it was meant to be
obscure, just go for the quote niche unquote characters that you might want in.
Feel it's pronounced Nietzsche.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Right, Nietzsche.
Okay, how about this? I want Sensui, I want Yusuke, and I want that flower asshole. Yeah, I forgot his name. Kurama. There we go.
There you go.
And if you want a fourth one as a striker character, not an assist, we'll get Koenma, but handsome Koenma.
Oh, of course.
The one that impresses the ladies.
Botan would be a good assist in one of those games.
Handsome Koenma is so much better than Botan. Especially if he has that voice. The voice is what makes it, right?
I don't know. They could do Botan with the bat from that.
Oh, that was good!
Yes.
That was such a good fucking arc. Her running around high school beating the shit out of zombies with a goddamn bat.
I'm sorry, I need a second because I'm just thinking of you, the fucking Game Boy Advance stream, and you were stuck in Yusuke's apartment that was a on fire maze.
But you hit the switches to turn out the fire.
God, his mom is insane.
It was so unbelievable. Oh man.
I guess I'd like Joseph Joestar because even though they'll never do it, like young him, not old Joseph.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, that's a good pick because they never do anybody but Jotaro, which is lame.
Yeah, right. And it's like he's the most popular, and I feel like he's the worst Joestar I've seen. It's sad.
What's the name of the second Joestar? Jonathan?
The second is Joseph.
It goes Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro,
yeah, then
Josuke,
absolutely.
Giorno,
yeah,
and then Jolene.
Yeah, Joseph for sure. I mean, I would even at some level appreciate Jonathan.
Yeah,
because he's fucking Kenshiro.
Like, he's so noble.
he's super polite Kenshiro, not as scary Kenshiro, not as Terminator Kenshiro.
And I had it in my head a second ago. Oh my god.
Whatever. Somebody write it next week and ask the same fucking question.
Oh right,
but
Chad from Bleach. Yeah, there it is.
Wait, who? What? Chad?
Chad.
Is he a Chad?
I guess.
He never got to do anything.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Although he did have the most Chad moment in that entire series, which is when he inexplicably he has super strength even without having superpowers. So he rips a telephone pole off its foundation and hits a monster with it.
Yeah, no, him before he gets any powers is amazing. He takes a steel girder that falls from like 10 stories and just is like, that hurt a little bit. And no one, just get over it.
We don't have
quick.
to explain it.
And then he gets powers and never does anything ever again.
Yeah, somebody write in the same question next week, but use Gundam characters because that's a conversation I'm willing to have.
But all those, every one of those characters is in the games, Dan.
Look, I get that.
Gundam Versus just came out, although a bad version apparently.
Right, yeah. No, I want an ArcSys made version.
I want a version where they fight in person and not in their suits.
Right. See, that's what I was actually going to say. They don't get the fucking mechs. It's just Char Aznable fighting Zex Marquis.
So you get Amuro and Char having their incredibly homoerotic sword fight.
Yeah. It'd be like a Kingdom Hearts fighting game.
Camille hip throwing. What the fuck is that guy's name? What the hell is that guy's name? Yeah, Jared. Hip throwing Jared off the cliff while he's on crutches. And of course, the strongest character would be Captain Bright, who just slaps the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. My money is on Bright. He's
no one can stop him.
It's true. He doesn't even look human. Like his eyes don't look the same.
Although I would want the will never exist ArcSys G Gundam game.
Oh yes,
that'd be good. But yeah, despite the question not allowing for this answer, I still want the Narima Daikon brothers because Nabishin's great.
What brothers?
Nabishin made an anime after Excel Saga. It's called Narima Daikon Brothers. It's really good. It was localized even. It's a really good anime. It's really short. Weirdly enough, it's a musical, but it's really good. Nabishin, the guy who made Excel Saga and Puni Puni Poemi, and Bob, what fucking Tenchi did they, for whatever reason, hand to this man?
GXP. Just to be like, who cares?
I've never heard of. Did you know that Tenchi is still fucking going?
Oh yeah, it's so fucking weird.
I'm still waiting for the new episode they made to come out to the States. I think we need to wait for more to happen.
Jeez.
Yeah, because the OVA releases like once every 5 years or something. It's ridiculous.
But okay, I think that's gonna do it for this week. Thank you all for watching.
What do you have going on this week, Dan? Any plans for the channel?
Next week I plan to get back a little bit into our traditional content. So maybe like some weekly beating, giving games a chance. You know, there was a giving games a chance that was supposed to line up with the Kingdom Hearts 3 coming out. It was supposed to come out this week, but everything's been so busy. But maybe next week we'll get that out. That GigaBoots Eats for the $25 and up patrons is going to come out sometime this weekend. That's over on the GigaBoots Patreon, not the GigaBoots Podcast Patreon. So do not throw $25 at the podcast Patreon and be like, where is it? For anyone who hasn't seen GigaBoots Eats, I have put in the description of this video a link to the free episode we have up wherein we eat calorie-free peanut butter.
Oh, God, please don't talk about the calorie-free peanut butter.
It's
just seeing it made me uncomfortable.
As it should. Every time I watch it, I am exactly as in terror as I was in the moment in the flesh. What else? I don't know. We may be doing an Avenging My Youth this Sunday. I haven't decided on one, and I hope at some point in time maybe we can give Shenmue a chance finally.
What do people have to look forward to in the podcast news this Wednesday?
Oh, nothing. We're shutting it down. Thank you for the money. This is the last podcast you'll ever see from us. I don't know. I'm terrified to announce podcasts in advance, Mr. Feel.
There will be something.
There will be a thing.
It might be something entirely new.
It might be something entirely new, and it's going to be really good. But, people should go back and check out the Gamer Premonitions for Pokemon if they haven't, where we try to predict.
Definitely hushed.
We try to predict what's going to be.
Also, I enjoy that. I think Bob is beating me, even though I cheated and did multiple things instead of one.
My Pokemon was too powerful.
Pokemon design is so incredible that Spaceman Spiff has changed his name to involve it, and his profile image is Bob's Pokemon design. It is that strong.
Also, please go watch our wonderful Cursed Content Club episode about Kickassia. And if you would like to suffer with us in real time, you can go to the GigaBoots Podcast Patreon and get the commentary for that horrible movie.
Yeah, so that way you too can watch it with friends. Mr. Field, do you have any upcoming content?
No.
Aside from the podcast?
I live in a box.
I mean, you have the podcast coming out. It's not like you do nothing.
Well, yes, I'll be on the podcast.
There we go.
But that's all. I live in a shed.
Well, that's one step up from KZ. I hear that guy lives in a dog kennel. Some sort of GigaBoots wiki says that.
Dog kennel last out in Arby's.
Luckily, KZ and I are both in the Southwest and not the North, or we'd both be dead from the polar vortex.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Jesus.
It's really fucking bad. So I really hope people listening to this stay safe and don't get completely fucked by that.
Don't go out trying to get M&Ms like the M&Ms Twitter asked you to do.
Are you? They did that.
They did a tweet with like bags of M&Ms with like an ice cube filter over them. And it's like, it's worth braving the cold for.
What?
And then somebody like immediately responded with, this many people have died.
Jesus Christ. God, how stupid do you...
And that's not even the worst one. The worst one is the Norm of the North Twitter for that abysmal movie.
Yeah, I saw
being
that.
Like, at least one person's enjoying the cold Norm from this movie that has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, that was bad. But yeah, I would love to announce what's happening on Wednesday, but I'm totally scared if I speak what it is, it won't exist. And that's why we can't tell you what's coming up. Because so far, things have continued to come out as I continue to not tell you what they're going to be.
Jinxes are real and we must not tempt them.
It's sad but true. So please look forward to our amazing new type of show on Wednesday. Hopefully, new type of show. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Big Think Dimension. This show, like our other podcasts, is only possible with the generous time our co-hosts have given to us and the equipment we've bought to make it higher quality and easier to produce. Please consider supporting our podcast series on our upcoming GigaBoots podcast Patreon and look forward to more gamer premonitions and Big Think Dimension in the future. The executive producers for the months of January 2019 are Fitz Povert, Nicholas Cameron, Ely Boyles, Brendan O'Sullivan, Star Falcon, Spaceman Spiff, Danny Richardson, Dwyzart, and Wadonis. Thanks, everybody. Also, these guys, all their names are gone. If you want to help us make more videos, go over to patreon.com/GigaBoots today. This is a really catchy song.